You're not single because you're ugly. You're also not single because you're intimidating. And you're also not single because everyone else is just taken. No. You're single because you have the social skills of a soggy napkin. Okay, for example, are you ever at a party and you think, okay, I can't vibe with any of those people, they are just not cool enough? Or you think, oh my god, all girls are just stupid and superficial and they're after my money. Or you think you're a girl and you're like, oh, guys are toxic and abusive and you can't speak to a single one of them. Then you've probably fallen trap into social media. You spend so much time online that now your perception of social media has become your reality. So as a result, you go out less, you adapt those toxic mindsets from TikTok, for example, and then you think, yeah, everyone else just sucks. So I'm single by choice, actually. So are you though? Here we also have a graph that shows that 18 to 25-year-olds nowadays are more uncomfortable with regular social situations. Now here you can see that how much? 87% comfortable with flirting in person. So texting, what are you doing, doesn't count as flirting. So this is very concerning. By the way, if that's something that interests you, I also made videos on that. So if that's something that where you're like, yes, I'd like to improve that, then just subscribe. Also like while we're on the topic. And yeah, so that's very concerning. We also have the point of introducing yourself. Now, this is so strange. How can you just not like go up to someone, introduce yourself? Like even when we do it, we just feel more uncomfortable doing that. So that's 63% public speaking. So 82% were uncomfortable doing that. Talking on the phone is terrifying to most because we are a texting generation. To be fair, I also don't like to call people, and if someone calls me out of nowhere, I will also have a random heart attack and will probably ignore the call. Not to be a hypocrite here. I also have small talk. Making small talk is highly uncomfortable to most people, and yeah, I also made a video on that. Small talk can actually be very hot if you do it properly, but that's not that's not the regular opinion of people nowadays. That's not what they share. And yeah, so that's a very, very sad reality of our generation now. I don't know, I don't want to leave the house or see anyone, speak to anyone. I'd rather just stay in bed. The harsh reality is that we need other people. We can't just sit at home all the time and just not leave the house ever. We need to be bored. We need to actually speak to others, even if it's in random places. And just, I don't know, I think now, or let's just put it differently, our generation is not necessarily lazier or just more incompetent, no. But what we have, what other previous generations didn't have, is our phones. Now, because of the phone, we don't need to be bored anymore. We can spend an entire day on our phones and technically be entertained throughout the day. That wasn't possible for someone just 20 years ago. If you were bored, you had to either create something or do something with other people, otherwise you would go crazy. And so because we don't have that anymore, we also see a decline in social skills because it's just not as necessary. The problem is though, we will always remain a social species. We need other people, the contact and everything. Otherwise, we die earlier. I'm not even kidding. Like, we die earlier because I don't know what happens in the body, what hormones or pheromones spread. I have no idea. I'm not a biologist. I just know that we are a lot more happy. We are happier if we are around people whose company we enjoy. And flirting and being in relationships is a very important part of that, which we neglect more and more. So, depressing for sure, but as always, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, I have 3 ways of spicing things up a bit. Now, those tips are more applicable if you are actually at a social setting where you have to socialize, so a party, networking event, something like that. Can also be applied at just any public space, but I think it makes more sense for places where you actually are expected to talk to one another. And so, number 1, just say hi. Like, hi. And then you see what the other person says and how they approach you. If they don't seem interested, you leave, but like, see their vibe, right? Number 2, hi, I just noticed that you wear that yellow top and I have the exact same one. So hi, and kind of finding a connection right away. Like if you see something that sticks out, where you're like, I see that immediately and I can use that as a starter, a conversation starter. That's perfect. And the third one is the hi, you seem like the kind of person who. So that's also fun because that person now gets to tell you you're completely off. Or yeah, I actually am. Like, hi, I just wanted to tell you, you seem like the kind of person who works out 6 times a week. And then they can say, yeah, I actually do. I'm an athlete. Or no, I don't. Haha, it must be the genetics only. I don't know. What makes you think that? And then you can explain, and then, you know, you get into conversation. So 3 very easy ways to approach someone. So you can try that. And yeah, I would also say to first flirt with everyone and not just people you're romantically interested in, because in this way you just train to be social. You will no longer be a social zero. No, you can actually train that. And then when you speak to someone that you find attractive, it won't be as scary anymore because you do that all the time, regardless of who you're talking to. So that's very cool if you can do that. And even though it was depressing, it doesn't have to stay that way. We can change that. Bye, hope to see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe if you liked or enjoyed this type of content. And yeah, like I said,